You are now listening to the Yeshiva Pass Tip-Off.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. There are probably no ladies that listen to this. That's right.
No, there are. I think my mom might have listened once.
Okay.
Miriam
my mother does too. Yes, that is correct. She would have killed me. She would have turned this off if I didn't say that.
I'm the one who mentioned her name. I got it in.
You nailed it. All right. So it's number 11. It's number 11. You did figure out how to get with the fingers and the.
I can even do it backwards.
Yes, it's still. Oh wow. Okay.
It's not one of these, right? Because it all works.
No, that's something else. That's something else.
Works.
Listen, we got a huge star on today. Huge star. I mean, it's the man that just gets mentioned in every one of these episodes, and we had to bring him to you. We had to. We had no choice. So
look, we held out as long as we could. I mean, we had to build up the show, build up the audience.
The summer's coming, season 1's coming to an end, so we brought in the man, the myth, the legend, and we're gonna bring him in just a moment. But first, we have a brand new sponsor. There's a lot of words, Ari, and I didn't feel like memorizing them. So you just go ahead and tell us all about.
I'm going to talk about our big time, our sponsor of the show. It is the law firm of Borenstein McConnell.
You're doing well so far.
Hold on, let me start again. The law firm of Borenstein McConnell and Calpin, PC, and they are led by the great coach, Hall of Famer Avi Borenstein, who's the current coach of JUC, the former coach of Frisch, Flatbush, and Westchester. It's a lot of
around for championships.
Yeah, seriously. That's a lot of places where he was a great coach. His law firm is great. And also, Alec Borenstein is a former assistant coach at Frisch and JAC and head coach at Yavna. Yavna, isn't that a former school of yours?
I'm mater.
Yeah, so he is. He's obviously, Alec is obviously.
Coach. My coach is Coach Bill.
Coach Bill. No one as good as Coach Will.
Coach Bill Calise, who, from what I was told by my brother, I did not verify beyond that, still works at Yavna. Wow. I am not young.
Wow. You know what? That must be a great job there.
He has like the
he has vacation time like for 10 years in a row then.
He has like the faculty emeritus gym teacher status at this point.
Wow.
He's just there. He oversees gym.
Honestly. Yeah, but we want to thank for Coach Borenstein for sponsoring the show, and also they're a private law firm. If you need help with some business litigation, personal injury, They are the creme de la creme of attorneys. They do it all. Any attorney need you have, reach out to them. Also known as BMC. I think also is that. Did I get the or no? Did I get the?
I don't know.
Yeah, BMC.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so check them out, and we appreciate them. And also let's thank obviously who else is.
I mean, as always, we can't go without thanking the Lions Den.
The Lions Den.
And. Just come in there, get your lion on. And Ballers Basketball Academy, which is creeping awfully close to the summer.
Seems like the summer's almost over. It hasn't even started yet, right?
I know. It's how
August 23rd, 26th at Hafter, Ballers Basketball Academy.
Ari always tells you, NBA players, non-NBA players.
Future Israeli pro players, maybe DRS graduates who went 33-0 and are part of a current 36-game winning streak at YU.
Who could we be talking about?
I mean, you never know if he has
go ahead.
time.
Give him the phone number. Go ahead.
Right. The number to reach out, Ballers Basketball Academy, the Lions Den, 917-837-8643. Still no one has called, but if you're looking to call. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no, Mom, I'll call you back later. Yeah, I'll call you before Shabbos. Goodbye.
Okay, yeah, thousands of views and no calls. Okay, anyway, we can't talk anymore. Nobody wants to hear us. They want to hear.
They want to speak to the big man, the big decision. They want to find out what's going to be.
Here he is, the man of many numbers: 42, 4, 21, 87, 45. So listen, this is a big episode. We huddled internally. We spoke to our executive producers, and they said, "Look, we can't keep talking about this guy every week and not bring him on the show." So we did. That's what we did. Here he is. I feel very old having him on the show because I feel like we've been calling this guy's game since he was in diapers.
Right.
But it's the former star of DRS basketball and current star and maybe, I don't know. We're going to get into it of Yeshiva University, Gabriel Leifer. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is absolutely our pleasure.
Our pleasure, Gabe. So that was the big question. Jay, I had a big question. I'm like, do we call him Gabe, Gabriel? You know, like.
Well, I just went with Gabriel because that's what he wrote in Zoom. You know, that's what he put on his Zoom name. So that's what I rolled with.
All right.
It's the same reason we call you Surly.
Right. Oh, I thought my name is not on there. Oh, there it is.
I mean, it's not, but I see it. You know?
Right. That's true. No one else. But let's get into the great story, Gabriel Leifer. Gabe, as I'm using both names here, it's great to have you on the show. We've obviously, you know, we've as Jay mentioned, we've talked about you a ton, and we said eventually we're going to get the big man on campus, and we got you here. So thank you for joining us. And we'll start with you know, a couple questions. Obviously, everyone wants to know if you'll be continuing at YU, which we're not going to answer that yet. You're going to, I know you're sitting on that.
Good. That's a tease. That's a tease.
Exactly. I'm getting better at this.
$1 million question.
Good work.
So we have $1 million sponsors also. So that's why they're all tuning in for this episode.
I happen to have been with your coach 2 nights ago. It was 2 nights ago, right? Was it? No, it was last night. I was with your coach last night, and I asked him the same thing because I told him we were having you on tonight. So he gave me an answer. We'll see if it matches yours.
He's been giving everyone different answers. So
right, exactly. By the way, you know what? See, Elliot's smart. He's going to use it for recruiting purposes. He'll be like, "Yeah, of course, Gabe's coming back. Yeah, of course you want to come play with him next year. It's probably his last year."
Unless it's a mid-level player who's like worried about playing time. He's like, "No, he's done.
Right.
He's done.
He's going to use it to his benefit, without a doubt. So let's start with obviously, Gabe. You know, we've been calling your games since you were at DRS, and you know, obviously, you had an illustrious career in high school. I think it was 1 championship. But you competed in the championships on numerous occasions, tons of tournament championships. But I want to talk specifically about the undefeated season, the perfect season. I think it was 33-0. Is that what you guys went that year?
Yeah, 33.
33-0. So you guys, you had a juggernaut of a team. You were just unbelievable. You plowed through everyone. You know, tell us about the mindset coming into that season. That was coming off a loss in the championship, the Yeshiva League, the season before. Did you guys set out to be like, we're just going to run the table, or did this kind of, you know, just happen, you know, game by game as you saw how great your team was?
Yeah. So, I mean, the year before that in 11th grade, we lost in the championship to your guys' team, the Hafter, and we were down big at halftime, and then we didn't really know what to do in the game, and Abram kind of threw in some younger guys on the team, see if we get a change of like scenery, throwing different people, give Hafter a different look, and we ended up crawling back in the game. But sometimes when you dig your own hole, it's a little too deep to get out of. So we didn't end up pulling through that game, but we really came back with the same guys that we had in our senior year, and we kind of knew that all the other teams like Frisch was losing Benny Tuckman and Tyler Hode, Hafter was losing Don Greenberg and Michael Weissman. There are other teams also like North Shore, and I hear you calling Cody's name over and over from that Saturday night game.
Cody, you mean Coco?
Coco, right. Still haunts him in his dreams
exactly.
all these years later.
So I still hear that all the time. But no, Cody's great. Just got married. Some other stuff, Cody.
Yeah, of course. Since you mentioned that, you know the highlight will be in this episode as you. Anyway.
Right, exactly. You just dug your own grave there, Gabriel.
We have that one.
Listen,
we have that one.
I said sometimes it's hard to get out of.
Right. But by the way, just small note, you lost that game. It was a consolation game. You played them the next day and beat them, so you did get
like
the
6
last
hours
lap.
later.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but we kind of just knew that with everyone else leaving, we kind of kept the same core group of guys, and there was no reason why we shouldn't be able to win any game we played. And we didn't. And it's kind of similar, and I'm sure we may get into it later, about the YU winning streak. It's not, let's roll through the season, let's aim for 33-0, let's aim for 36-0. It's kind of you focus one game at a time. And I remember even the first game of the season, I didn't play because I sprained my MCL, and I sat out. It was in the Mag and David tournament we played Hank. And everyone just really stepped up, and we kind of took it game by game. And like also in the middle of the season, we had Judah Levine go down with injuries, Zebin Ami go down with injuries. So we had no idea that we would end up winning every game, but it was kind of the next man up and just focus on winning that game that night.
Right. I actually think, and I could be wrong, but I think your team really came together, and you said that was pretty much a senior dominant team. I think all you guys, right, Simcha Brody, all you guys were seniors that year.
Yeah.
So you obviously had that camaraderie. You guys all were on the same page. But I really believe, maybe I'm wrong, but the season before at Satrin is when you guys, and this is the Coco game, when you guys came together because you had kids on the senior. You were juniors that year. The seniors that year had left the middle of the tournament to go to Israel because I know, right, the DRS to go check out Yeshivas.
I think it was one of the Goldbergs, Moshe Schwab, a few of them.
Right, and then you guys that was kind of where you guys all started really being together on the same court at the same time. and that probably really helped propel you for the next season.
Yeah, so we kind of just knew that we had something special, also something lucky for us. Unlike many other high schools like Frisch or those New Jersey high schools, that we all went to Hal together, those same group of guys. So we really been playing forever on Shabbos afternoons in sixth grade, and we kind of just had a feel for each other, and we knew that like once it was our opportunity, we were going to take it.
Well, actually, that brings me back to sixth grade. So we're going to go a little backwards here. But
So
I heard that I heard you were, and Jay loves this make believe sport, floor hockey legend in sixth grade, and you were actually contemplating. I think also Perlow, also AB Perlow. You guys were like great hockey players. And in Hal, I believe it's in seventh grade that you can choose to play hockey or basketball.
Decisions.
Was that actually a big decision, or you were like? I mean, obviously you weren't 6'4", 6'5" then, but was that something that you contemplated, or you knew basketball was your sport?
So it was a big decision. One, because I always used to play Beitler every year when I was in school, and that was just 2 times. And we were very good. My team, whenever we played, we were a very good team. We won a lot of championships. So I was kind of very used to hockey, but I guess kind of thankfully to Hal, where you can't play basketball, can't play hockey in sixth grade, which is probably the sport I would have picked in sixth grade. We ended up winning the championship in sixth grade. So I kind of figured, let's just keep it rolling. And I even remember AB decided to play hockey that year. So we didn't have AB in seventh grade, but he ended up coming back in eighth grade. So I guess but it was a decision where I had to really think about it and like figure out which one I was better at.
Well, wow, he kept
good decision.
Hold on, AB ditched you in seventh grade, ditched you, and then he just ditched you and went to Hafter. What kind of guy is that?
He's a good friend. That's why I'm better. I had to step up.
Right, exactly. But by the way, funny story. Actually, one of my first games coaching, I was when there was Hafter JV coach. We played at DRS, and this was literally, I think, my first road game. We had one game against not such a great school, and then we go into DRS. They're warming up, and I'm like, wait, I'm here for the JV game. Why are these kids dunking during layups? There's him, Perlow, Judah Levine. I'm like, no, and they're like, no, this is the JV game. I'm like, well, this is not right because these guys were 6'3" and over at that time. I mean, you guys were obviously. I think it was only fair for the league that AB went to a different school. I don't think it would have worked otherwise.
It leveled out the playing field.
Right, exactly. But
they went undefeated without him. So
right. Actually, when did you first dunk?
In the game?
Both in your driveway and then in a game.
I think ninth grade, not in the game, and then actually my first 2 dunks, which were not on video, were in the same game at North Shore, and Elliot was coaching the game after. And that's when I first met Elliot. He was sending me the videos. He tweeted Gabe, he was on Jewish Hoops America. So that was like my real first interaction with Elliot.
Really? So this is not. And he wasn't obviously. He was not the YU coach.
He was recruiting you for 5 years. Wow. Okay.
He was coaching in North Shore.
Right. Wait, did he try to recruit you to North Shore, or he knew that wasn't happening?
I remember someone did. someone tried to.
Right. Someone said like, "What's the direct PayPal to your bank account? We'll just like slide that in there right there." But I remember Mag and David also in middle school. It was weird. I was not ready for that spotlight. You could look a little Syrian. I think you could fit in North Shore.
Especially with when I used to wear the white yarmulke.
Oh, that's right, the big white yarmulke. Right, I remember that big cap on your head. So back to the undefeated season. Was there any game that was a real contest that you were, because you won Cooper tournament that year? I think you swept you won. Well, obviously you were in all the tournaments. You won them all. What was if there was one game that sticks out in your head as far as, we may lose this game, or, you didn't think you were going to win. Was there one game that stuck out more than others that season?
So I never thought that. I've never been in a game where, unless we were down a lot, like let's say the after junior year, where I really thought we were going to lose in all years, because I just think that's just the wrong mentality. You always have to think that you're good enough to win, and the second you let yourself get there where you're thinking we can lose, then you're going to lose. But I guess the closest game we had was at Frisch on a Sunday. We won in overtime. Like we played Eula and TABC and Sarachek, and those were close games. But I guess technically the one in Frisch was closer because it went into overtime. And I remember we were missing 2 of our starters. I forgot who. And always Sunday games are just hard games to play. You're on the bus there. You're looking at your fantasy team. You're not in the right mindset. And I know I forgot someone's a Cowboy fan here, right?
Oh, look at that.
I remember. And it's just hard to get into the right mindset on Sundays always. And we were down 2 players. Frisch was a good team, and we ended up just winning in overtime that game. Remember, Ben Lifetime stepped up big in that game, made a few shots. Sika Septimus, but so I guess I would say that was the closest game.
Yeah. Fun fact: I also went to Frisch for a year.
Right. And also, fun fact: we'll never have Jay on podcast solo because his story of his high school career, it's really not that interesting. I mean,
Nope.
we talked about it in the past, so
Not at all.
not so interesting. So that was the one season. So tell us about you talked about your coach Avram Stein or Abram. So he played that zone defense. Did you feel like that was? I mean, obviously he plays a system and you have to play it. Did you feel like that was to your strength to play that because you guys are so big, or that was just the mentality is we got to learn to play this. This is what coach wants us to do.
In Hal and DRS, you're never going to play man. So I was kind of used to it for the previous years, and I was always like, okay, fine, we'll just play zone. I mean, we had the size, we had the lanes, and we had the athletes to play it. But I definitely wish when I was, let's say, playing for Coach Evan Pickman from Heschel for Maccabi, and we had that first practice, and we were going through a man defense, and everyone just knows what to do. And he literally came over to me, and he was holding me by my arms and just turning me. He's like, "How don't you know how to play man defense?" And I just had no idea how. But ultimately, it did work. The zone, as it showed, we didn't lose that season. But I definitely wish that for a competitive level, now that I'm used to playing that, and also just looking back at it, I'm like, if we played men, we would have even won by more.
Right.
Because
Do you think that
teams
there's
just can't handle it.
Do you
Right.
think that there's trickery in kind of Jewish basketball stuff like that, like where it's like you can get away with things because of either the level of competition or the guy's height or athleticism? I mean, does that sort of fall into that category?
I mean, you definitely can, because also, like, let's say now, I could have a scouting report about someone from another team, but like in high school, you also know everyone. You know who could do what. Everyone goes to the same camps. You play against them, and like you kind of just know how everyone plays. So there definitely is an advantage.
Do you think?
Right. What would you say? No, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I was going to say, do you think that you know more now with video and scouting reports and that kind of stuff, or you knew more in high school just because you really knew everybody?
I knew more in high school because of playing in the Deitch's backyard for 3-on-3s on Shabbos.
That was must see TV on if there was seeing TV in Shabbos.
Yeah, there's no TV. That's what we were talking
Right.
about.
That was the way to be. But let me ask you a question: with all the tournaments you played in high school, you played in Sarachek, you played in Cooper. I don't think you played in Glauberman, right? That wasn't.
No.
Right.
DRS
That wasn't.
go to that.
Right. Because it's the boys and girls teams. So you played in Sarachek, you played in Satrin, and I want an honest answer. I mean, Satrin is great, but I want you to answer. What was the best tournament that the one that you looked in the beginning of the season, Mag and David preseason, that Sarachek, that you were like, this is the tournament that it brings out the best in the team, the environment, the whole weekend. What was that for you?
So the honest answer is probably my favorite one was actually Memphis. I just guess because when you're in high school, it's cool to travel with your friends, and you're staying at a hotel. It's a high level of competition of ball. They have the whole pre-tournament show with the seating show, which is all really cool, and it makes it like very legit.
Ripped that
the
off.
weekend,
We took that.
yeah, and the weekend is just like basketball. But the best like formatted tournament, in my opinion, is the Saturn tournament, because every other tournament is you just have one game and you're done. Like it's either you win or lose. You have to it's tough to win. Let's say Sarachek 4 games in a row, but if you have a bye in the first round, all you have to do is win 3 games in a row. In Saturn, you have a game. You're just playing day after day, and you get to see other teams. It's a fun weekend. There's 2 games going on in the same gym. You're not traveling so much, especially if you live in the 5 towns. And it's just like
us. There's us.
Yeah, you guys, the commentators, you definitely don't have that anywhere else. But I definitely, all the tournaments I played in were great, but I would say Cooper was the coolest experience, and Satcham was the best formatted.
Right. By the way, I just want to say Gabe's game, obviously his game has evolved since high school, but it's also his interviewing skills. It's like, we used to have you on, at the we get like 1-word answers. Now it's like he's like going to PR classes. I mean,
ESPN, they come knocking, and it's a different thing.
It would be like we brought him in. We brought you in after you won the Olympic gold, you and Abby, and we're like, so tell us about the gold. How was that experience? He's like, it was cool. We're like, okay. Now it's like, This is great. So, but actually, going to the gold medal, and I know we had Coach Pickman on here, and he told us, obviously it was a pleasure for him to coach you, and he had such high praise for you, and he's coached NBA players, so you can, that's obviously a feather in your cap. But tell us about playing for representing your. So what is Maccabi? You're representing a Jewish America. Like, what is that, and like how is that whole experience?
Yeah, so you're representing, I guess, technically USA. We played against Maccabi Chile. We played against Maccabi Argentina or Australia. I forgot which one. Say Australia, it sounds a little cooler. But so we played against a bunch of those teams. There was like Maccabi Mexico, Brazil. So there's always these Maccabi JCC games where like you can kind of, I forgot, I think like Scott Ferguson started a team with a bunch of those guys, and they would like go to Florida or wherever. They would go to a tournament, but this is you're playing for Team USA, and you play against other countries, and it's just a bunch of Jews from all over, no matter what their affiliation is. Everyone's welcome to play. You have people who probably have no idea that they were Jewish, and people who told them you can come play.
Yeah, until the week before when the coach found them at the park and said, "You're Jewish."
Right. No, I was gonna insert our local tip-off joke, but I was like, I was gonna let that go. So, yeah, go ahead.
But then you also have people who go to shul and they learn every day and they wear yarmulke and tzitzis, and you have people from all over, and the diversity is incredible. And I definitely enjoyed my experience. It's probably one of the most fun 10-day span of my life. Just going, and it wasn't just about the basketball. It was about being in Chile with friends and just meeting other people, playing against other people. Also, the gear was amazing. Definitely love that.
What were you like 17? This was like your sophomore or junior after?
Yeah, it was my senior year.
Senior year, okay.
Yeah, so it was my senior year, and we went to Chile over New Year's, which was right before the Saturn tournament, and it was just an incredible experience. Great coaching, high level basketball, great teammates. So cool to go to Chile. Not many people could say that they did that.
Sure.
And it definitely was an experience.
Even I cannot say I've been to Chile, Ari.
Right. And you pretend you've been everywhere. So
I know. Who
take the Saturn tournament there.
Yeah. Who was on that team?
Who was on the team was me, Avi, Ty Gertzberg, Jack Shahabar. You may remember him from Mag and David.
Okay.
He's a year older than me. Who else? Zach Jacobs, didn't play in Yeshiva. I'll try to think of Yeshiva guys. Jeremy Spira from Heschel, Michael Gatan from Heschel, Rafi Kabursky from SAR, Sammy Merkin from Ramaz. Probably missing a few guys I should probably remember, but Daniel Sion from ULA. But it was really a like Yeshiva League centric team, and then a few others.
Was it the competition? Did you blow everyone out, or there was a couple of games that were competitive?
So we blew out Chile. We beat Argentina.
Chile's not exactly known for their basketball powerhouses, but
yeah, they won soccer. So we beat Argentina, and it was like kind of like the Saturn, like you have the group games and then you have the actual tournament, and we beat Argentina in triple overtime. We actually were down 2 at the buzzer in overtime, and one of the guys on our team, Zach Jacobs, our point guard, he got fouled and made both shots. And then we ended up playing them in the gold medal game, and we beat them by like 30.
So you were like the dream team. USA shows up. It translates all the way down to the Jews.
Exactly.
Right. So let's talk about, because I actually remember during your senior year you had gone to U of P. There was a lot of schools that you went to look for basketball, and obviously Division I was something for sure you could have done. What was the process? I mean, I know you went to Israel for the year for Shraga. What was the process of you deciding to go to YU? Because again, when you went to YU wasn't what it is right now. Was that a big decision, or how did that transpire?
So at that time, this year we played one of the schools that gave me my first recruitment letter, which was Rochester. It was definitely cool to play against them, and I definitely had opportunities to explore other routes, but it really came down to Zach Rosen. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He went to
Cornell.
Penn. He's like
Cornell guy.
Penn. He's like Penn. He was Ivy League Player of the Year, and he's Jewish. He wasn't religious, but he got close with the Chabad there, or the Hillel, whichever one's there, and he ended up becoming religious. He went to Barry Klein's Yeshiva in Israel. Amazing guy, and he came back to Morashah one summer, and he went to Penn, and that was the summer where I went for the mini camp, and he kind of just told me, he actually, they had like D2 and D3 coaches come and ref, so that the Division I Penn coaches they could like actually watch. And my coach didn't end up coming, and they asked Zach to come that day because he's like, you go to Penn, Zach Rosen for basketball. Everyone knows him there. So he actually ended up being my coach for the day, and I was with him the whole summer. So he kind of knew which spots to put me in. So he was my coach, which really helped my performance that day. But after, and the coach spoke to me, whatever, and after Zach Rosen, he said to me, he's like, you know, I have the truth for you. You could either be on Penn, it could be really cool for 2 years. Everyone will forget about you. Maybe you'll get minutes your junior year, maybe your senior year. Got to work really hard for that. Or you could go to IU and really make a difference in the Jewish world and play from the start. And from there, because also he's like traveling on Shabbos is extremely difficult. He's like, maybe they can compensate for you and they can like let you, let's say, miss a game on Friday night, because in Ivy League they play Friday night and Shabbos day, and they travel in between the two because they can't play during the weeks because of the class. So he kind of just really told me the truth. And from there, he's like, you can really make a difference in YU, even though they weren't so great at the time, or you can just be cool for 2 years. Everyone can know your name and then everyone will forget about you. So I would say it was Zach.
Wow. So as much as Elliot wants to take credit, it's obviously Zach Rosen. We heard it here at the tip-off, episode 11.
All right, now
why you should be sending him flowers, cheesecake for Shavuos, anything else. I mean, they should.
Hold on, just so if you would have gone to Penn, you basically would have missed every other game.
It would have been impossible.
Right. They play all on Shabbos, right? Don't they play Friday, the weekends?
Yeah, it would have been extremely difficult.
Now, were they willing to take you knowing that this was going to be an issue?
So the conversation never got there because that night I was back in Warsaw with Zach, and we were just sitting and talking, and like I just knew from that, like I just wanted to go to IU. He like spoke to me. I was like, this was a really cool day. Could have been an amazing experience, but why not go somewhere where I'll play? Because if you're competitive, you always want to play. I don't want to be sitting on the bench.
Right.
And you can actually make a difference. And he kind of just like gave it to me.
What were your expectations going to YU, when you went? What did you think the absolute upside of your college basketball career would be?
Honestly, I didn't have...
Not what Elliot told you, by the way. Forget what Elliot told you. What did you expect?
I'm not going to give Elliot Sarachek-style show a speech about making the Final Four and everything, but I didn't really have so much expectation. I didn't really know how the schedule worked. I remember getting to YU in January, and we had a game against someone in the conference, and they're like, hey, this game's very important. The next game was against a non-conference team, and they're like, this game doesn't matter. I'm like, what does that mean, this game doesn't matter? They're like, this doesn't go against your record for the conference. Yeah, it only helps to get in the tournament. So I was like very confused. So I honestly didn't really think about it so much. But I always just had the expectation, just you're going to win every game that you play. And it started, we lost the first game, I think, and then we went on a little winning streak, and then we got hot at the right time. People made big shots, and I guess as it went on, I just started thinking like there wasn't really a bigger goal. Obviously, you want to go as far as you can, but it's kind of just win every game.
Right, but by the way, it's funny, as Gabe says, his mentality to win every game. I'm trying to calculate. So your career record could be something like 150-5. Like, I mean, how do you remember how many losses have you had throughout your career?
Junior year DRS wasn't great.
Right.
Freshman year in DRS was not great. Sophomore year in DRS was another undefeated one. But you play like 10 games, so that's not so impressive.
Right.
And Hal, a few. So I can't do the math, but
his winning percentage is probably over 90%.
Is it under 10?
I have no idea. No, it's not under 10. But if you actually want the stat, you could probably ask like Akiva Poppers from YU to do it. He could probably get it in a second.
And we're talking about you went all the way back to 6th grade. You went all the way back.
Yeah,
but he's calculating like, okay, I lost.
What about from high school? From high school on, is it under 10?
No, I don't think so. Probably around.
That is ridiculous.
No, that's why, as Gabe keeps saying, he's like, my mentality is to win every game. I'm like, yeah, because you kind of won almost every game. But I don't want to forget this. Tell us about, and then we'll continue with the YU situation. But obviously, senior year, you had the play of the decade, the Jewish play of the year, Jewish play of the century, whatever it was. Tell us about that dunk which also kudos to Rabbi Storch, who had a great call.
Yeah.
And, my neighbor, and I always tell him all the time, like, that was just great. I go, Jay and I have never been at a game where anyone's dunked. And we've been at a lot of games where people could dunk, it just never happened. So tell us about that feeling rising up, and it was against Frisch. It was a playoff game. And then, the crowd and, that moment, and even as you look back at it, because in the moment you may not even realize how great it was, how did that happen? And, take us through that moment.
Yeah. Before the moment, I think the only reason the dunk is considered whatever it's considered is because of Rabbi Storch. I mean, if his commentary wasn't there and it was quiet, it probably just been like, okay, that was cool. Right. It definitely was Rabbi Storch. It was a packed gym. But I had no idea.
It was a playoff game. It was a big playoff game also.
I had no idea I was going to dunk it until after, honestly. Like, I kind of just went through the motion. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll get an easy 2 points. And then I was like at the rim, and I was like, oh. And
hello up there.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let's just go for the dunk. We're up like 30 anyways. What happens if you miss? And it just happened. And I remember like everyone was going crazy, but like.
Well, you didn't just dunk, Gabe. You dunked over it. Like, you as Jewish of a poster you're going to get in Jewish high school basketball, there was you probably, I'm sure, remember the kid's name from Frisch that you dunked over.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we could get in Sammy Mendel's gym, that poster, right next to Shaq, LeBron, and all those guys, then that would be great. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely cool. But in the moment, I was just focused, like we've been talking about. It's always just about next play, win the game. I just went back on defense, and it didn't really like kick in until the timeout.
And then when you went back and saw it, I mean, I remember your father sending me video of it, and I was like, wait a sec. I go, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm like, that's just not a, like kind of a dunk, you kind of lay it in. Like, that's like a
Ari
poster.
still needs a pretty tall step stool to dunk.
Yeah,
and he's tall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was that your biggest one moment? Did you ever have any buzzer beaters in high school or even in college?
I had one junior year at DRS against Hafter to go to overtime. It was just like a little mid-range. It wasn't like anything too crazy. I would say that definitely is the top moment, but it also was the top moment because now Joe Schwartz is our assistant coach. And, like you said, like I still think about Cody's shot. Every single time there's practice, he comes over to me and gives me like a little hit.
He's like, reminds you, like, please don't ever
Exactly.
Do that. And by the way, it's hard to have buzzer beaters when you win every game by 30 plus. So I guess that, that was a loaded question. He's like in third grade in the Beitler League or something. I remember.
Yes, we were playing outside, and
right, exactly.
And the assistant principal told us to come in, and I dropped one.
Right, that's what it was. So, all right. So I know we're going all over the place. So back to YU. So you Zach Rosen, obviously the big influence in sending you to YU, and as we said, tell us about when you got to YU, which you said you came in the middle of the year in January, right? You were there for Shauna Bet and Traga, and then you came home in January. Was that a big adjustment coming into a team that is already established and already starting to play well?
And waking up early?
Yeah, that was the worst part, by the way. Still tiring, but it's good. You get a good start to the day before everyone else while they're sleeping. But it definitely was, and I remember calling Elliot. I'm like, I'm not so sure whether or not I end up joining this year because I don't want to come in and be that guy who after one practice is starting and just moves right into the spot after someone who's been working hard all year. But he told me, he's like, we have 6 guys suited up. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be upset. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we have about 6 to 7 players injured and like 4 quit the team, and we have 6 guys. So I was like, okay.
Not everyone liked the early morning practices, I guess.
So I'm like, so I'm not taking anyone's spot. And he's like, you're not taking anyone's spot. So I remember going, and it was like the first practice. And it's just so funny now because me and like Simcha Halper were very good friends now. And I remember I got into the gym, and it was like all my friends from they're like, Simcha Halper is going to be the best shooter you ever play with. I was like, okay, fine. So I walk into the gym, I see Simcha shooting, and I kind of just started rebounding. And for him, which was probably a little creepy of me, and he probably appreciated it, but I was shooting around, but like I made sure not to miss far. And like every time I shot, I made sure to just like get his rebounds. So I was very intimidated of everyone. And then just, it was really, I'd probably accredit it to a few people, Ellie Mammon, who's the captain, Simcha, Donnie, Kevin Boker. They all just kind of made me feel comfortable from the start, and they didn't make it such a big adjustment for me.
Right. So that first year, did you win a tournament championship that year, or no? That was not that year.
We won the conference.
You won in the conference tournament,
and then lost in the tournament.
lost in the tournament. So who was so that was I mean obviously a big year. So after that season, you're coming into the next season. Ryan is not there yet. Was he there your second year or no?
Ryan came that second year.
Second year. So what
Yeah.
was the experience? And you played against Ryan in high school at all? In Cooper maybe or
In Sarachek.
Sarachek?
But I didn't even know I played against him because he was like so young, skinny. He always talked about it. He's like, I didn't even play. But we played against Valley Torah on a Friday in Sarachek.
Wow, that's funny. If you didn't realize you were playing against Ryan Terrell, that's pretty impressive. I guess
Yeah,
he obviously upped his game a bit.
Yeah, he took it personally.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know you.
Right. Like, who's this guy? So when Ryan came in, was the expectations already like, you know what? We have Simcha, we have Ryan, you have yourself, and you have, you know, a powerhouse of a team. What was the expectations going into that year for your team?
So we knew we had something special. We knew we were getting a superstar, but there's a big learning curve for anyone who joins the freshman year, no matter how good you are. I remember one of the first few plays of my college career, I had an offensive foul. I just drove like I was regularly going to drive in high school, and there's just a guy all of a sudden waiting to take a charge. And like in high school, you don't have people willing to sacrifice their body like that. And there's a whole learning curve, learning new offense. You're playing with people who I had an amazing team, but you're playing with people who are all the best players on their high school team. So you have to learn how to share the ball. You have to get rid of whatever ego someone may have had. There's a learning curve for everyone, but Ryan from the start, I think he averaged almost 18, 19 points his freshman year. I think he won Rookie of the Year. I don't remember exactly, but he also developed every year. And I think that's something that's most impressive about him is that every year you see the evolution of how good he's gotten. In the beginning, everyone's like, oh, he doesn't have a three. Maybe he won't make it. And now he's shooting 45% from three this year. He's 6'7". He's strong. He put on 50 pounds of muscle, and I think that's like the real.
Also, he put on a lot of hair. Evolution of his hair also.
Exactly. The evolution of his hair is unprecedented. I think he got it from OPEC. I think that inspired him a little bit. But we knew we had something
the
special.
Jewish afro to the long hair.
Yeah, and we were also coming off a high, and I think we started off 1-5 that season, and that was probably the biggest learning curve that we all had in college. We all of a sudden we won the championship. We're like, okay, we're just going to roll through this year. You know, we're going to make the tournament again, and I think it humbled us a little bit.
Right. What would you say in your game? Let's just talk about evolving. I mean, you know, in high school, you were a big man. I don't think if you shot a 3-pointer, I mean, I never saw it. I mean, you know, you probably didn't shoot many or were allowed to. I mean, when you're 6'5", they're, you know, and especially in Yeshiva League, they're not going to allow you to roam outside. But now you've developed your 3-point game, you're passing, you're getting triple doubles. What do you think, which part of your game has improved the most since your early days?
So I think one that I wouldn't say improved the most, but one that I guess I realized. So like it's not something that you can really work on, is the passing aspect. And the only reason why I knew I was as good of a passer as the stats show is because Elliot, he came over to me, I remember after that Frisch game, and he was like, you know what the best part is about your game? I'm like, I don't know, like I'm big, I could dunk, not many Jews can. Probably scored a few points, but he's like, no, none of that impressed me. I was like, all right, so what is it? He's like, it's your court vision and how you share the ball. And I guess kind of from there, it just developed itself. Like you're not standing in the gym doing passing drills. You're not throwing it. There's no shooting machine for passing.
Right. Well, also, Gabe, in high school, the goal for you was not to pass. I mean, you know, when you can score at ease, you know, your coach is, you know, even not the smartest coach is probably going to tell you just put it in the basket.
Yeah. So I definitely learned from Elliot that was the best part of my game, which I guess I improved most on because I didn't even know that I was good at it.
Right. So you probably always had confidence that you were a good shooter. You didn't have to utilize it much in high school because your game was inside and dominating the paint.
Exactly. Took a few my senior year. I don't think I ever took a three before that. But definitely you use your size when you have it in high school more than being a shooter.
Right. Well, how did that change in, like you said, in the change in the collegiate game? You know, your kids are quicker and they're taking charges. But what about the caliber of an athlete you're playing against? I mean, has that, like, obviously we don't have the same caliber of athlete in high school as you do playing in yeshiva. So was that a big adjustment to really understand that?
So it was a huge adjustment, and people think it may come easy, just because you're good here, you're good there. It's not the case at all. You really have to. And in the beginning, I watched a lot of games. After the night the game ended, I rewatched the game to see how I can learn and how I can get better from it. It's not just something you wake up and you're like, okay, fine, I'm ready to do it. It's something that you have to continuously learn. And also, I think, which is actually surprising when everyone says, like, was it harder to play in college or high school? I actually think to score, it was easier in college, even though you're playing against bigger, stronger, more athletic defenders, because in high school, I had a great team, but all eyes are on you. In college, you have 5 other guys who can do the same exact things or even better that you can do. So it kind of just opens up the whole court, and it's really just one quick move. But there definitely is a big difference in the competition playing on a regular Thursday night in DRS and playing on a Thursday night in Marvel.
Right, I'm sure. How was it this past year? And we're not going to talk so much about the year of Corona, meaning when you guys your tournament hopes were ended, because we've heard a lot of that. But how was it playing this year with all the protocols, and you're wearing a mask, you're not wearing a mask, you don't know when you're playing practice? Like, how was that mindset? I mean, I can't imagine that for a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, however old you are, like to really like get up and really digest all that and have to deal with that.
So it was horrible. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it.
Right.
It was definitely horrible. We had to get tested a few times a week, and we honestly had no idea whether we'd play one game or not. I mean, the last game of the season they got canceled. Woke up that morning thinking we were going to play. Get a text 30 minutes later, game's canceled tonight, season's over. Let's be in touch next week. I'm like, okay, fine. I think I was going to Florida for Pesach like the next night, but like it all just ended like that. And I think it's just it's really a testament to everyone on the team, even though we only played a few games, that we won all of them, because it takes a lot and everyone had to give up a lot. And the school, we're all thankful to YU for giving us the opportunity to play, because over 50% of the teams, which is why there was no tournament, decided that we're not going to play this year. So we're just grateful for the opportunity that we were given, even though we had protocols. The protocols were horrible, but to be able to have that opportunity when there was so much chaos going on in the world, to just get on the court and have like get your mind free and just think about everything, nothing about COVID-19 and Corona. It was just a huge opportunity that we were grateful for.
Right. Now, let me ask you this here, because of course we're going to get into the decision. This is the biggest decision since LeBron went to the Heat. But how much does the way last season went, and all the CDC today came out with guidelines. If you don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Was that true? Is that a real?
True. 100%.
I got it from the Times, so not just some forwarded WhatsApp.
Well, it's on the CDC's Twitter, but like it's on.
You
their
mean
own
I can walk into whatever sponsor or future sponsor of my choice on Central Avenue and not wear a mask?
But of course, by the time this episode comes out, everyone's going to know this. But for your benefit, the CDC guideline is if you're fully vaccinated, unless you're in a very crowded place like a bus or an airplane, you do not have to wear a mask. However,
you have to carry your card?
No, the states all have their own protocol. So right now in the state of New York, for example, you have to wear a mask in a supermarket, whatever it is. The state of New York now, under the CDC's guideline, needs to lift that guideline. So the way that's going to play, the NCAA.
All right, but by the time our podcast comes out, everyone's going to know the answer. So
right. Well, no, what I'm saying, the NCAA is probably not by the time we come out with this.
Right.
Is ultimately going to have to rule on what this looks like, what next season is. Is it a full season? Is it a regular tournament? Like all these things. Certainly, with the way Division I went this year, you could assume the D1 basketball season next year will be exactly what it was 2 years ago. But how much did last year's sort of fakakta season like weigh on you and just go, I'm done. I'm done with college. I'm done with basketball. I'm not doing this again. It's over. It
definitely took a toll, especially because practice is great. Every team needs practice. Everyone needs to work on the skills they need to in practice, prepare for a game in practice. But when you're in a season, you don't really have so much practice when the games actually start, because you'll have a game Sunday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday night, and there's no practice in between. You just need days to rest. But this year is just practice Sunday, practice Monday, and it went on the whole week.
And not even knowing when you're playing,
exactly. So it definitely took a toll on everyone.
Right. I mean, I can imagine that's just got to be such a. I mean, it's a commitment. You said you're making a commitment. you're practicing, and obviously Elliot is having you practice just as hard as if you were playing 30 games, as if you may play 8 games. So, right, you said that's a tough thing to have to go through.
Right.
But
so Elliot goes out, he recruits some guys. He's got another twin tower coming in. He goes and he gets our guest last week, Ethan Lasco. Very exciting news. Brings in a D1 guy, and then there's you. You maintain some college eligibility by spending some time in Israel. Of course, everyone gets an extra year because of last year. So you finished college, it's over, but you got a little eligibility left. So what's going on?
I wish I had an answer, but I just don't, because it's really essentially not up to me.
It's your wife? Your wife is already telling you what you have to do?
No, everything works. I also said it would be a privilege if the opportunity happened, but I won't sacrifice anything that I was, I guess, supposed to be up to in life. Like I'm not going to defer a job. I'm not going to not do a graduate program. I'm not going to study for my CPA. So it's really, if all of those balance and it works out, and Elliot's flexible, then I guess we can see where it goes from there. It's a conversation to be had, but right now I just am not sure what is going to be going on then. But I can tell you this: if there is testing and all that and mask wearing, I think it's a pretty easy answer that it wouldn't happen.
Right. Well, by the way, I'm sure Elliot could probably be pretty flexible. And when you say flexible, you're like, yeah, practice is great and all, but I've been doing that enough years. I know how to play this motion offense. I'll just show up game time.
Yeah, because I mean, I would hate to do that just because I don't want to be that guy. But
your teammates will let you be that guy, Gabe. Yeah. That's okay.
Maybe not Eitan Alford. He's a workhorse.
Uh-oh.
But
the one guy that talked a little trash on this.
Oh, that's right. We'll get into him talking trash against the overachieving undefeated 33-0 team.
Talk all he wants, but yeah, whatever. He was part of that. He was part of that number. So
exactly.
He was number 33 or 32 because it was a championship in Sarachek.
Sarachek, right.
Yeah, so he was definitely 33 or 32. So
right.
he can do whatever he wants with that number, but he's one of them. But yeah, I think it's really about just having time to do it all and being able to balance, and I guess everything falling into place. It's like,
so when do you have to make that decision? Like, I mean, obviously you don't have to make it until, I guess, you get closer to, next year. I mean, next season.
It could be November. It can also be January if that's when it would work out. In the middle, I honestly wish I had a better idea, but I just don't.
Right.
Now, it's safe to say, based on the way you're talking, that this is it for you for basketball. One way this year.
Right, like, are you like to go to Israel perhaps, or Europe, anything or like that, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go to Israel, make time for learning, play there part-time also, and just have an experience at this point in my life. And also me and Simcha Halper, we always talk about it, like if I go, like we try to play together, and like that'd be cool for us just to have played in YU and then play overseas in Israel. I even think I want to hold Ryan to it, because who knows who's listening to this, maybe NBA scouts, but he also said he would be interested in playing with us for like a year if we were all there.
So that's still in play.
Yeah.
Oh, so you would hold up, a potential accounting job.
But that's he'll be paid. He'll be paid to play. That's a job.
They also have an office in Israel.
All right. Gabe, not only is he a great ball player, he's very smart as well.
He's scheming. I like it.
Right. He knows. Right. I mean, do you ever imagine that you'd have the opportunity to play professionally in Israel, like when you were, in high school or something like that?
No, I had never thought of that.
I mean, that's just. I mean, and it's funny because we've talked about how the Jewish athlete has just evolved. I mean, it's really, with these opportunities now that players, and it's because of the dedication you guys have to your craft and how great you guys have all become at playing. It's just opportunities are opening up, which is pretty amazing. Who would you say? So we got the big. So what that answer is like. It's like, what's the word? And Gabe, you'll definitely have to help Jay out on this. when you have a Gemara and they ask a question, what's the answer, and no one knows the answer, they call it a chok or something. What's it called?
I just know at the end of the Gemara it says teku. We leave it unanswered.
Oh, there it is. I knew it was something. Okay, good. That's what it is. So, okay, we have that great question in there. We'll have to find out when we find out. So
we'll come back to it.
Right,
We'll
exactly.
We'll do some chazara in a few months.
Right,
There it is.
exactly.
Now,
So who is? We asked all.
I knew this was coming on.
Yeah, we knew this was
I
coming.
saw it coming.
Couple questions. We've asked all our guests the same question, and you're usually one of the answers. So now we're going to give you the question.
Not usually, always.
Right, you're always one of the answers. Right, even if sometimes they try to avoid you, they're like, okay, I guess I'll say Gabe Leifer. High school, yeshiva could be Sarachek, any tournament. We're going to include the California schools, Cooper. 5 players you played against that you thought were your biggest competition, or the most impressive players you played against, and give us 5 guys throughout your high school career.
It's a tough question. You're trying to get me in trouble out here.
Yeah, it's all right. You only answer. You get 5.
And think about this. I definitely say Zach Rosen and Ryan Terrell need to be in there.
Even though you didn't even know you played against them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But I played with them now.
Oh,
did I play with them?
No,
talent
in high school. That you played when you were in high school.
Oh, in high school, who I played against?
Yeah.
So not including like Maccabi doesn't count even though that was during high school. Okay, fine. So I got to restart that. So I didn't really play against Ryan. God, I guess honestly Benny Tuckman was one of my kryptonites.
He was the first guy.
Yeah. Cody definitely. Ethan, because I played against him in that the Cooper tournament. I'm trying to see who else. Probably, I guess AB also. I feel like AB and John Greenberg are kind of like a 1 and 2. Like they kind of go together. But let's leave John out for now. So AB, and then the last one. Honestly, I have no idea. So let's go with John.
Joe, all right. So there's no love for Eitan Halpert. That's just on the record. That
I mean, I didn't really play against him.
Ah, okay. Well, he did. Well, you beat him in the Sarachek.
Yeah, but he was a year younger, and like it was also a very senior oriented team.
Right.
And he wasn't like one of their. I mean, he was one of their main guys, but he wasn't like the guy that everyone was looking at just yet.
Right.
Like we knew next year he'd probably be unbelievable, but then it was like he's good. He's definitely good. But the guys I played against and gave me more trouble were the other guys.
We got it. We're not giving Eitan any love, but you're still nice enough to explain why you didn't pick him. That's
on the back of that question, I do have to ask you this because we joked about it, but I mean it is serious. We have done 10 episodes of the show, and your name has quite literally come up in each and every single one of them. I think without exception. Well, maybe Ari. I don't know if we talked about him in the one you and I did alone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, what is that like for you? That I mean, you're literally
such a humble person. I mean, it's like obviously.
And you're literally in the like you will. First of all, now with video and everything's on tape and whatever. Listen, I hear guys talk about in the '60s. This guy, he would have been the best guy. Yeah, right. Whatever. But it's all on video now. You will quite literally be in the conversation of one of the best. Religious basketball players that ever roam the earth. I mean, what is that? Like what is that to you?
It's definitely a privilege, and it's something that is a nice recognition. But I also would just, if it wasn't for everyone who I played with, if it wasn't for all those teammates I had in DRS and all the teammates in YU, I would be nowhere in that conversation. So although I have had my own personal accolades, I also think that it is because of everyone else who I played with and the coaches who have given me the freedom that really brought out the best of me and really led me to become the player that I am.
Right. Well, actually, on that note, who would you say is the biggest influence in your basketball career? Could be a parent, could be a trainer. I mean, who do you think really? Because obviously, look, I know you started working with people probably in 9th grade, 8th grade, whatever it was. Who is that one person who really helped you evolve your game to be to where it is, to put you on the path to where it has become?
Directly or indirectly? You can give us both. Indirect, AB. Because I played with him. But also, I think he was the one who really, like, because we just always played against each other, and we were always the same size. We always just had to figure out how we're going to beat the other person. We always went head to head, literally, like from even like second grade when we used to hang out with each other after school all the way until 12th grade. So I guess indirectly, but I guess someone who gave me the best guidance and coaching would probably be either Elliot or Pickman.
Oh, look, picking up two guests that we've
Wow.
had before. That's yeah, no, I mean, you've had some tremendous coaches, and those, to have people like that lead you and guide you. I mean, that's obviously a big reason, like you said, besides all the hard work. I mean, to have someone that brain you could pick, or just, can give you the guidance to help your game evolve. Those are two definitely big names. So that's amazing. Also, what's the reason for high school you were 42, and then in YU 4? What was the reasons for those numbers?
That was the only number they had.
Wait, that was
college.
YU or both?
In YU, that was the only number they had. So there's no significance behind that. And honestly, 42, I have absolutely no idea why that was my number. I was 21 in high school. I didn't double it. Some people are like, "Oh, you're just doubling your number." I think it was because, like, in high school, I liked Tim Duncan, and in college, and then in middle school, I liked Tim Duncan, who was 21, and in high school, people said I played like Kevin Love, maybe, but I have no idea. And then it turns out that 42 is my dad's number.
Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't?
I did not know.
Really?
Yeah, talk about Ashkacha Pratis.
Is there any video of your dad playing back in the day, or?
No, Ari.
He played at highlights. I think there's a banner there from one of his
Right.
years.
Oh,
but,
okay. Wait, so
but
did he play with your coach in DRS? No, he's a little older. Or no?
Yeah, no.
Right, no. Different age groups, but I know he was a player back in highlight also.
Yeah.
So that's, oh wow, so he had the same number, and there's no you didn't even choose it because of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, but now let's just say it's because of him.
Right, exactly. I'm sure that's the reason. So, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, your story is great. I know you have big things to do. You have to head to Jersey. There's a big autograph signing waiting for you tonight. So, we first of all want to thank you so much because it's been a privilege for Jay and myself to see you from, I think, like I said, from 10th grade was probably the first time we saw you play, and then just you always just carried yourself and a humble person, a real role model for kids, because obviously kids are looking up to you. They see you, from high school through YU now, and as you continue on with your life. We wish you all the best. We thank you for coming on the show. And, when you do have that final decision, obviously get your agents in touch with us. We'd like to bring you back on the show. We can't pay you the same appearance fee that time because our budget's a little smaller, but, we'd like to have you on.
I'll text the tip off 11 WhatsApp chat.
There it is.
You guys could be the Woj.
Right.
That's all Ari, by the way, with the chat.
We'll drop the tip-off bomb.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. So, so Gabe, thank you. Congratulations on everything, and we appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll see you when we have more information on the big decision 2.0.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was a fun time. Definitely miss it from when I was playing in Saturn.
There it is. We did it for you, Gabe Leifer. It's done. We got him.
I mean, what more? I mean,
he held out for a lot of money. No. NCAA. It's not. Right.
Well,
it's a joke. It's a joke.
The joke.
No, Gabe was great. He gave us more than all the other interviews we did with him combined times 500. So that was
right.
He has learned how to put a thought together and speak it now. It's amazing.
It's funny. Jay and I were just talking about it's amazing how he's really just he's like I said during the interview, like the PR courses he's taking. It's like no. We knew him in 10th grade when he was 15.
15-year-olds grow up. That's what happens.
Right. He's like 22 now. I'm like, or however old he is. I'm like, wow, that means we're getting.
He got married.
Really
he's got a family. I mean, yeah, these things.
Right. Exactly. It's like we went from his bar mitzvah to now he's married. So it's like, yeah, we're getting older. I'm getting balder. Jay's hanging on a little there, but.
Well, I see. I did my hair tonight, so you could, I could show you. I still got hair. What am I getting?
Nice. So yeah, no, he is. I mean, it's just a tremendous story, and it's kind of a theme. Like, what a humble guy. I mean, and as you said, you asked him a great question. Like, you're growing. You're in this video. You're like as far as an Instagram star in the Jewish world, meaning like everyone where you go, they know who you are.
Yeah, household name.
Right. You know what I mean? They know who you are, and it's like he just there's no cockiness, there's no attitude. It's just that he's really he's gracious and he's humble and he's just appreciative of the spotlight that he was put in. Which don't get yourself wrong. Yeah, he's 6'5" and everything, but there are a lot of people who are tall. He obviously puts in the work, and it's paid off, and he's just a super career. And it was also interesting hearing him talk about his DRS days, like, that Satrin tournament against Cody Cohen, which is just a memory we know for us. And, he lost that game, and that's something that still gnaws at him a little bit.
Yeah. It was funny when he said that, Eitan was like number 30. I was like, did he memorize all the, and then it's like, oh no, it's the end. Okay. Oh,
right,
okay.
right, exactly.
He's not crazy. Okay.
He's not like LeBron recapping a game, going play by play and, just having the photographic memory. He's like, yeah, that was like the last game and we won 33. But I mean, think about it. That's when I asked him, I'm like, wait, you haven't lost many games, right? I mean,
we're going to have to find that out. We're going to find out.
I mean, he won his championship in his sophomore year in JV. He said they were undefeated. Varsity senior year was undefeated. They lost in the junior year, his championship. I mean, he couldn't have – I mean, unless he had a really bad coach his freshman year, I mean, in high school, he couldn't have lost more than, 10 games in high school, 15 tops.
We're going to find out.
Right,
I'll bet he was like sick for one of them or something.
Exactly, right. That's also when I'm like, any buzzer beaters, like, he didn't really have any close games.
No.
He's like, do you count the first 2 points of a game? Is that like as that's as close as the team could have gotten when they played against us? But and also he said some also thing that stuck out at me. Like one of the things about he was worried about being accepted when he came into that YU team. Elliot's like, listen, we need you, and he pretended that he had 5 kids injured or whatever Elliot did.
They were fine.
Right,
Elliot told him not to dress.
Exactly. Elliot's not a dummy. He knows he's a great recruiter. He's a great coach, and he's also like, listen, we'll take care of any of these problems beforehand. You're needed here, so come on down.
So Ari, that's a wrap on 11.
Yeah, that is 11.
2 more, and we round out the season. So
yeah, that's right. The season.
Get over here.
Head into the summer.
Stay tuned. Follow us everywhere on Yeshiva League Pass. That's Instagram, YouTube. And get
Spotify.
on over, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify,
right.
Apple Podcasts. Check us out on Anchor. Just search Yeshiva League Pass tip-off, and we'll be back next week. We'll be back.